We have had major injury updates regarding Bukayo Saka, James Maddison and Sven Botman going into Game Week 12, and in this video I'm going to update you exactly what was said and what you should do with those players, as well as revealing my Game Week 12 team. So as always, if you look forward to today's video, please do drop a like and smash that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into this very hectic video. So first up, there's nowhere else to start than the update from Ange regarding Maddison. And it isn't looking good news at all for those that do own him. Shout out Fantasy Football Scout for all of the information that I've taken for this video. You can see here from the interview today with Ange, he has confirmed that Maddison is likely to be out until the new year. So he is going to be out for all of November, all of December, and we know how many games are competed during that winter period. So this is a disaster for Spurs and also for those that own Maddison. Also, Van de Ven is going to be out for a similar time period as well. But the big news is Ben Davies is available. No, of course, nobody cares about Ben Davies. So the big question right now regarding FPL is, what do you do with James Maddison? And with this information, it's a sell. Simply put, you have to sell James Maddison. If you can do it this game week, I absolutely would do. With the amazing fixtures we have this week for the likes of Arsenal, even for the likes of Man United, I think selling Maddison this week, even for a -4, makes sense because we know he is out for such a long period. So before we get into all the other injury updates, let me discuss exactly who the best Maddison replacements are. Now, my number one replacement for James Maddison is going to be Martinelli with that amazing home fixture against Burnley. Now, do I think Martinelli is the best Arsenal asset? Probably not, but of course there are question marks right now regarding Bukayo Saka. And if you're looking for a Game Week 12 transfer for a player that is guaranteed to start, I think Martinelli is your man. Yes, Bruno Fernandes plays against Luton at home. Yes, that's a great fixture, but I back the Arsenal attack so much more. And what we saw from Martinelli in the midweek fixture was a revitalised player. The underlying numbers that you can see here for the season compared to Bukayo Saka aren't great for Martinelli. 0.19 XG per 90 isn't the best. Even his shot volume isn't what we're used to seeing in the back end of last season. And we know that he isn't necessarily much of a chance creator. However, in the game against Sevilla, we saw him take on his opponent, dribbling loads of crosses. And with the integration of Trossard playing as the number 9, I think this is only a good thing for Martinelli. It gives him the opportunity to be that 1v1 winger that we've always come to see as a player. And with the potential injury to Saka, Odegaard, I think the responsibility of that attack is going to be on the shoulders of Martinelli. And at his price range of 7.7 million, I think this is an unbelievable differential for your FPL teams. Now, this is a great position to be in if you're a Saka owner and Maddison. Maddison to Martinelli just looks great for this fixture. But of course, if you're in a position right now where you're selling Maddison and you have the choice between Saka and Martinelli, this is where the problem lies. I think Saka longer term is the better pick. But if you want to reap the returns in this game week in isolation with guaranteed minutes, then Martinelli makes sense. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is my number one replacement for Maddison. Let me quickly discuss some mid-price midfielders. So here are the mid-price midfielders that I definitely would consider as a James Maddison replacement. It's worth noting also a Saka replacement if you think that you need to get rid of him. Now, I did do a Game Week 12 preview video. Please do check that where I've gone into big detail on this section regarding the numbers. But I don't want to bore you in this video because I know time is of the essence. So instead, I've got the fixtures for the assets in question right now, and I've picked one from each team. Trossard, I love as a 1 week punt for Game Week 12. I don't like him long term. Kudos at West Ham. The numbers are looking good as he's integrated into this team, and the fixtures for next 3 are fantastic. But I prefer Jared Bowen, so he wouldn't be a rush for my team right now unless you were looking for a real differential. Matoma is the obvious one in that Brighton team, but with the injuries to the likes of Dunk, Estupinan, there is a little bit of question mark about how Brighton's team was actually going to be affected with those absentees, but it's an amazing fixture against Sheffield United. I can't deny that one. Mbeumo is the one that doesn't look great right now, but you're going to want him come game week 14, so maybe just jump in early if you are looking to downgrade Maddison to a mid-price midfielder. Outside of that, I don't really like Sterling. I like the numbers, but I don't like the fixtures. I would wait on him. I don't like Doku. I'm not a big fan of Diaby because of the fixtures going forward, apart from Game Week 12. So realistically, of the mid-price midfielders, I think Mitoma makes sense for this game week just because it is Sheffield United at home. Otherwise, I would be very tempted on a punt on Eze for the next 2 fixtures to then maybe jump to Mbeumo after that period. So again, if you want to check out the underlying numbers for these players, check out our most recent video, but realistically, Mbeumo might just be the long-term option for your FPL teams. So that's Spurs covered off. The next big one is, of course, Arsenal and Bukayo Saka. And as always, Arteta was as coy as usual. Arteta said he needs more time to assess Bukayo Saka, Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus and Martin Odegaard and won't know their availability until tomorrow. The big news is that Saka did not train yesterday. Now, since this quote, we have seen pictures of Eddie Nketiah training, so that does look good if you are an Nketiah owner. I probably would just recommend starting him if you have brought him in for this weekend, so that's really good news for those managers. But again, we saw Trossard play in that number 9 role, so could we see maybe Trossard pushed out to the right-hand side with Nketiah down the middle and Martinelli off the left potentially? Basically what I'm saying is I have no idea whether Saka is going to start this weekend. I think you go for one or two things. If you have one free transfer available and your team's looking pretty good and you might need the following transfer in game week 13, I'd probably just play Saka and hope for the best. Otherwise, if you have 2 free transfers, your team looks fantastic, you could maybe do Saka to Martinelli for a 1-week punt, but my advice is this. I think Saka is still the man to own for 5 or 6 game week period, and the international break is happening after game week 12. So I think come game week 13, you'll want Saka back once again. So I like the Saka to Martinelli move as a 1-week punt, but make sure you have enough cash available to maybe jump back to Saka in game week 13. Next up, Sven Botman and Newcastle in general, and going from one manager like Arteta to Eddie Howe, they are cut from the same cloth. These guys do not give us anything in the interviews. Callum Wilson will be assessed today before a decision made on availability for game week 12. Again, if you own him, you probably start him, but you definitely don't buy him. In terms of other injuries, Alexander Isak should return after the international break, but I don't think many people own him right now. The big one, Sven Botman has been to see a specialist about his knee injury. Outside of this quote, Eddie Howe has said that he's getting better. He's returning from Holland today to be checked out with the Newcastle team to see whether he's going to be available. I literally have no idea once again regarding Sven Botman's availability. If you own him, I'd probably be tempted to sell him, but equally, if you only have one free transfer, maybe just play him this week because he isn't coming off the bench, for example. Otherwise, if you're looking to sell him, Lascelles looks good at 4 million. Otherwise, alternatives could be someone like a Harry Maguire. Last up, I want to touch base regarding Brighton because there's quite a few absentees going into game week 12. So those asking about Estupinan, looks like he is ruled out for game week 12. Came on in that Europa League game, came straight back off after 10 minutes. And the quote is basically he's not expecting Estupinan, Dunk or Milner to feature on the weekend, which is going to affect Brighton as a whole in the team. And maybe this is going to be a case of either they just go all out, play all the attackers and hope they just score loads of goals knowing their defence is going to be all over the shop, or they just don't really play well as a team. It's going to be very interesting off the back of that Thursday night game. March, Welbeck and Ciso long-term absentees, while Tarek Lamptey has also been newly ruled out. So who knows who's going to play left-back in this system. But I think all these injuries makes me very tempted not to go to Mitoma because I don't really know how Brighton are going to function as a team, even though Sheffield United is such an amazing entry point for managers. Okay, so with all the carnage of injuries that we've had this week, here is how my team is looking going into game week 12. 2 free transfers available, 0.2 million in the bank. And on the face of it, I really like my starting 11. It's worth noting, I also have Cole Palmer as my first sub. So if any of these guys weren't going to play, I've easily got a player to step in and take their place. So happy with the team. I was hoping we'd get some concrete news regarding either Matty Cash, who I didn't mention, did come on in the Europa League game, so he looks okay for game week 12. We just need to deem now whether he will start or not at right back. Saka is the big question mark and why I flagged him right now. Because I have 2 free transfers available, I'm in quite a luxury position where I've looked at my team for game week 13 and it still looks quite good, and I don't really know where my next transfer is going to come. So I could be very tempted to do Saka to Martinelli for a 1 game week punt, knowing I've got the money in the bank available if any prices fluctuate over the international break, and then look to go back to Bukayo Saka in game week 13. So I'd basically just be really doubling down on that game week 12 fixture at home against Burnley. If I don't pull the trigger on that, I might be tempted to actually sell Tsimikas. I don't really know the status on him. Obviously, he came off early in that Europa League game, didn't start against Luton, so starting to get a few red flags regarding Tsimikas. Yes, I do think he will play in games in the future game weeks, but I don't know whether I can actually hang my hat on a start for him. And he's one of those defenders that if he doesn't start, definitely will come off the bench. So I'm almost tempted maybe to take a very rogue transfer and sell Tsimikas for Harry Maguire with that brilliant home fixture against Luton, knowing that he can then revert back to my bench later down the line. So the big thing I have to say is this. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with my transfers, but I will be doing a deadline live at 9 AM UK time tomorrow, where I will update you with my official plans. But right now, if I had to really go for it, I'm kind of tempted to sell Saka for Martinelli. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Regarding captaincy, I see no other option than Mo Salah this weekend. Because of the injuries to Spurs, I don't think Son is an option right now, even though I think a lot of the weight of the attack is going to be on his shoulders. And Bukayo Saka, with the injury news that we have, can't confidently put the captaincy. So it comes down to basically Salah, Watkins or Haaland. And realistically, I want to be a bit spicy on my picks. Yes, Haaland could do very well against Chelsea, but I fancy Mo Salah at home against Brentford. The numbers aren't too good, it's worth noting, but I think Liverpool are going to need a reaction off the back of that Luton game and, of course, midweek in their Europa League fixture. So I'm putting the captaincy on Mo Salah, vice-captaincy on Ollie Watkins, just because I know his minutes are absolutely guaranteed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and of course, what are your Game Week 12 transfer plans? Yes, guys, okay, that is going to wrap up today's Game Week 12 team selection video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, this will provide you some value in that injury section, and of course, what I am doing with my team. As always, if you did enjoy it, please do consider dropping a like and smashing that subscribe button. We're so close to 11,000 subscribers. It'd be so sick to hit that before the Game Week 12 deadline. I will see you guys 9 AM on my deadline live for the Game Week 12, and I will see you then. Take care, guys. Cheers.